Ahoy there! Captain Benzie here, coming at you with another video for Eve Echoes. Today is Thursday, which means it's time for another installment of the weekly Developer Q&A series. For those of you who don't know, every week Netties, the developers of Eve Echoes, take 4 questions posed by the community, respond to them, and post that response to the official Eve Echoes Twitter account. Now, I know that most of you don't have access to Twitter or choose not to have access to Twitter, so I respond to these, I read through these, and I give my own thoughts and opinions over the top. Now, if you have a question you'd like to see answered, make sure you click the link in the description, it'll take you through to a Google form. You can ask your questions there, and if your question is chosen to be one of the 4, you will win a month of Omega. With all that said and done then, let's jump right in on this one. So here we have the weekly developer Q&A for the week of the 14th to 20th of July. The first question: is there a way to set a primary and secondary personal location? I have to move my station to the top of the list every time I log on, and it would be nice if I was able to set it as a priority so it will never move. I appreciate all that you'll do and all the hard work you put in. Thank you. First of all, that's how you ask a question to the developers. None of this rude, aggressive stuff that I see all the time. It's probably why those ones don't tend to be picked up and put in the dev Q&A. Anyway, Wilson. The info of saved locations is logged on the server. Displaying these locations by preference is not yet supported by the system. We're sorry about the inconvenience caused, and we'll start adding this feature after releasing the August content. As it requires changing how we structure the data, it will only go live in the game sometime in November. That's cool. I think this is referring to the whole thing of if you're setting bookmarks at different stations, that kind of thing, it orders them in different ways each time, and you can sort of move them up and down the list, but then next time you log in, they've reverted back to the way they were. Ultimately, yeah, I kind of agree with this. I've got a Capsuleer outpost, I've got a corporation citadel, our alliance has sort of a headquarter citadel, and I then have 2 other stations in low-sec that I use as staging points as well, and they do kind of move around. I've just kind of got it into my head now, the order that they're actually in, but it's not the ideal order I'd like. Now, for me, that's just a finicky thing. I'm, a big fan. If I'd want to keep the low-sec ones together, I'd want the Corporation Citadel to be at the top with my Capsuleer Outpost second, that kind of thing. Sort of an order of importance. Not necessarily an order that I actually use them in. But I get why people would want this, and it does seem like quite a simple change, but as Wilson points out, it does require restructuring of data. There's a lot still coming in August, etc. We've just covered this in another video earlier this week. I'll try and remember to put a link on screen and in the description as well to that video where we go over the Trello roadmap so you can get an idea of what's coming. It looks like October is the last of the big updates, so November makes a sort of an earliest point for this kind of thing. That's awesome. I'm glad that they're looking at that and its quality of life changes and saying, yeah, actually, let's add those. Question 2. Do you have any improvements planned for the fleet mechanic? One thing that really needs addressing is the notification. Unless you're constantly opening the fleet overlay or are told directly in chat, there's no way of knowing you have new applicants to your fleet. Now, I feel like I know who this one was written by, because I get this question a lot of, Benzie, have you heard anything from the developers about fleets being changed? There's a couple of FCs in Void who are notorious for getting angry at this, and I'm with them there. Yeah, it's really annoying to open up a fleet and have to keep checking the fleet overlay because you don't get a notification or even a red dot to say, hey, someone's asked for an invite to your fleet. Do you want to accept them? You have to manually go in for that crap, and yeah, it's annoying. It's annoying. This is right up there with me as the whole contract thing, that when you ask for a contract, when you send a contract to someone, or more importantly, when you receive a contract, if you're online and looking at the screen, you'll get a new contract received notification. But if it happens whilst I'm logged off, when I next log in, I don't know that I've got a contract. I have to actually manually check my contracts just to make sure that people are actually, that I'm keeping those clear. This, to me, that one, by the way, the whole contract thing, again, has been said that yes, they would like to add that to the game, which is awesome. And again, Lance here says, thank you for your suggestion. It'll be scheduled for release sometime later this year. That's awesome. Again, I would suggest November is probably the time they're looking into these quality of life changes there. 100% I agree with this. It must be incredibly, well, I say it must be, I know it's incredibly infuriating to open up a fleet, post that fleet card into things like Alliance and Corporation chat, and then you have to keep manually checking to see if people have actually added this, or people will DM you and say, hey, I've, requested an invite, and just, it's so fiddly and bitty, and it really shouldn't be. This would be an amazing change, and I'm all for it. Moving on to question 3. will there be more character customization options in the future, as the current selection of pre-made characters are fairly limited. Adding the ability to create a unique character would add more depth to the game. Now, I'm going to read the response before responding to this one. Kylum says, we're currently focusing on adding additional gameplay content and a smoother gameplay experience, so we haven't had time to add any additional customization options. We do want to entertain the idea of adding avatar frames and other customization options, but these will be potentially added after we've significantly optimized the game and added additional content. Now, my first thought here is, you know what, in EVE Online, there is one of the most in-depth character creators I have ever seen. Like, I'm not going to say it's the most in-depth, because I'll have people in the comment section going, oh, this one's more in-depth. Yes, probably. But the EVE Online character creation, as far as MMORPG character creation goes, is incredibly in-depth. You can change your clothes, you can change your like the angle of your face even. Basically, you can spend hours in the character customization screen, and then basically you take a photo at the end, and that's it. Everything else you did doesn't matter, it's only what's in that photo, and even then it's like a 100 by 100 pixel at the corner of the screen if someone happens to be talking to you directly. It's almost pointless. That said, I do really agree with this. I love the character that I've chosen for both Captain Benzie and Silent Rose. I use the same icon for those. But yeah, it is really, really limited, and it does always come across quite jarring, because I know those characters as mine. And when I spot someone else in local and I'm talking to them and they're using that same character, it's like, oh, that just feels weird. It's like I'm talking to a mirror with a different name, and oh, I'm not sure how I feel about that. And I get this. I really get this. Additional customization like this is awesome. But I'll also be completely honest, there are so many people in my corporation that, like, I've sent a contract to, or, you know, just done something like that with, that actually takes me to a page where you see the character icon. I'm like, wait, that's what you chose for your character? Because I don't see that. You don't see this in-game. So, whilst I want this added, I think that customization is pretty cool. I do agree that it's not really necessary. People don't really see the actual avatar that you've chosen in-game. Now, when they talk about things like avatar frames, if you play games like PUBG or Call of Duty Mobile, that kind of thing, you may have noticed that, you know, as part of rewards for battle passes and things like that, or just, you know, different things in-game, you can sometimes buy them, you get these really cool, like, frames that go around your avatar, that are just different colours or different shapes and designs that might sort of almost be emblematic of a particular faction or something. Like, you could get a Minmatar one or a Galente one. To me, again, this is really low priority. It's an aesthetic thing that you're never really going to see. What I would like to see more of are medals. Now, medals, they're such a rare thing nowadays. Like, we got one for being in the beta, we got one for, like, being a global launch, this kind of thing. I got a beautiful one for being a content creator, which I love, and it's super shiny, so you can always tell if it's the actual Captain Benzie flying around, because I have a unique Captain Benzie content creator medal. We also all got, 100 of us in Catskull, got medals that are Catskull medals, because we came 7th in a video competition a few months back, which I'm not going to talk about because that damn thing was rigged. But hey, the point is, medals were really awesome, and actually, I was talking about this to a friend yesterday. We were talking about all kinds of crazy stuff that could be added to Echoes, and I said, do you remember when the Stargates shut down for a day? Like, there was a day or two where some of the Stargates just didn't work. You'd warp to a Stargate to jump to the next system over, and it just wouldn't let you. And it caused some really big problems with people getting stuck in nullsec and lowsec. A lot of people lost their ships. There was quite a big panic about it at the time. And the developers not only gave a load of compensation, they restored most of the ships that had been destroyed, they gave out, I think, a ton of free skill points. They also gave a unique medal. Let's see if I can get a screenshot and put this up now on this one for those who remember. And I think that, other than the exclusive content creator and corporation medals, we've not had any since. And that, to me, seems like such a really cool, obvious thing to do. That you can just issue medals. They're not an overly difficult asset to create, I can't imagine, you know, like designing an entire new ship skin, but having medals that you could give to people for achieving certain things, I think would be awesome. Like, if you went around and explored all of the dotted systems in the Hitchhiker's Guide to New Eden, if you open Hitchhiker's Guide to New Eden and look at the bit where it talks about all of the different, like, Empire regions and things like that, you'll see that there are usually 2 or 3 systems that if you enter those, they will go from grey to gold, and you kind of complete those. If you completed all of those, you'd get a special exploration medal. If you found all of the different ores and you'd unlocked all of those, you get a special miner medal. Stuff like this would be really cool, and a way to customize the thing that people do see, your character name. Anyway, I'm going on about this entirely too long here. I do agree with this. I would love to see more medals. I would love to see just more character customization. I just honestly think that things like frames for your avatar, unless it's like changing the entire front-facing UI, at which point it's only visual to you and not to other people, that could be pretty cool. But things like changing frames for your avatar, and indeed changing the avatar themselves, it's so rarely seen that I'm kind of glad that they're not putting an emphasis on it. I do want it added at some point, though. Anyway, fourth and final question then. In the last update, you added new weapon upgrade modules, which best are meta level 14. This is now taking like a gyro stabilizer, where of course we had things like Gisty C-type gyro stabilizers. You can now upgrade those to B-types, A-types, and then a Gisty X-type gyro stabilizer. Some are only reaching meta level 8. Now, off the top of my head, I don't know which these are. I think, if I remember correctly, these are things like obviously the tracking computers. I think Eagle tracking computer is the top meta level 8 tracking computer. There are, I think the drone damage amplifier still stops at Nestworm. There's no, curiously actually now that I think on it, there's no Corelli C-type drone damage amplifier, which there really should be. I mean, if there's a weapon upgrade module for every other weapon system, why is there not a Dead Space variant for drones? This kind of thing. I know obviously the ballistic control system, that one does go up to X-type. I think it is just omnidirectional tracking link, drone damage amplifier, drone navigation computer, tracking computer, and possibly the other missile guidance one that don't have, that they're only stuck at meta level 8. Now, Nero responds here. Some types of modules, like E-War modules, will become too powerful and difficult to balance if they have higher meta levels. We currently do not plan on adding higher meta level versions of these modules for now. Now, I'm not sure if he's... I'm assuming that he does know what he's talking about here. When he says, like, E-War modules, yes, obviously you don't go above, like, the Halley target painter, the virus, tracking disruptors, that kind of thing. Those could be problematic if you started getting them better and better, I get that. Same with, like, an Energy Nosferatu. If you went above Avriculacus Energy Nosferatu to something like, you know, a Blood Raider, so what's that? Corpi. Corpi C-type Nosferatu. I think that would be cool, but I get why. I get that they're already pretty powerful once you hit that meta level 8 version. Things like tracking computers, I guess, maybe? Is there, you know, really that much of a difference between going from a meta level 8 to a meta level 8 tracking computer? I guess it might change it from being like a medium weapon to almost having the same tracking as a small weapon at that point. I don't honestly know. I couldn't answer that one off the top of my head. And honestly, in that case, if anything, I'm controversial topic alert, let's put up the sirens. I'm still massively of the opinion that medium weapons need to be nerfed in regards to their application. I think the damage is okay. I think the damage could possibly even go up slightly. I just think that medium turrets should not track as well, and that medium missiles shouldn't have quite the level of explosion velocity and explosion radius that they have. I know a lot of people are going to get angry in the comment section about that, but the big one for me is drones. Medium drones hit fast-moving frigates way too easily. And yeah, I know that I'm calling for interceptor nerfs and that, but medium drones are just way too powerful. I honestly think medium turrets are as well. Medium missiles are probably in an okay place, but definitely medium turrets and 100% medium drones need a nerf to their application. If you're flying a large ship, there is no reason to ever put a small drone in the drone tube, because the mediums will deal with the small, fast-moving stuff absolutely fine. So I think that, yeah, things like tracking computers and the drone damage, drone navigation computers, anything that increases application probably is fine where it is. Though I do think, thinking about it, the drone damage amplifier 100% needs needs blue level gear for that. I've not even spotted that. Yeah, the gyro stabilizer has blue level for cannons. The heatsink for lasers has blue level. The magnetic field stabilizer has blue for railguns. Even the Decomposer one has the blue level ones, and we don't even have Decomposers in the game. Missiles get the ballistic control system, which I 100% know goes up to Pithy, because I use them a lot on missile ships. So yeah, it's just drone damage amplifiers. Is there a... Am I going completely insane here? Is there a Corelli drone damage amplifier? I don't think there is, and I really think there needs to be one. That, I think, does need to be added, but I get where they're coming from with the other ones. Anyway, I'm now at the varying point of rambling, and hopefully now you can understand why I've gone for the crew war here, because hey, we're talking about E-War modules at the end. Lol, tenuous Link game. Anyway, folks, that does just about wrap things up. Some interesting topics there. I probably rambled along a little bit too much on some of them, but hey, that's why you watch my channel rather than going and signing up for a free Twitter account to read this information yourself. At least that's what I tell myself to make myself sleep at night. But hey, let me know your thoughts and opinions on all of this in the comment section down below. Do check out that link in the description if you've got a burning question you want the developers to answer yourself. And if you're anything like me, you'll just kind of keep asking it. Write that same question out in 12 different ways and just keep sending it and hoping that they respond. They never do. Nobody loves me. Anyway, folks, thanks for watching this one right the way to the end. Happy sailing, and see you in New Eden.